All right, so today we're diving into money and the law of attraction.
Learning to attract wealth, health, and happiness, right?
Exactly, by Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Okay.
In this book, it's all about how our thoughts and feelings actually influence our financial reality and even our overall well-being, which, might sound a little out there to some people.
Right.
But the authors, they present these teachings as channeled wisdom from a group of, well, they call them non-physical entities called Abraham.
Oh, wow. So it's channeling like
Yeah, it's channeling.
Okay, that's interesting. So what are we what's the goal for today? What are we diving into specifically?
Well, we're really going to try to break down the core concepts of this law of attraction.
Okay.
Especially as it relates to money.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, they hear law of attraction and they think, that's just like, positive thinking or something.
Yeah.
But there's actually a lot more to it. So first things first, what is this law of attraction all about?
Okay, so the law of attraction basically says that like attracts like.
Okay.
It's the idea that your thoughts and feelings, everything you're putting out there,
Yeah.
it creates a certain energy,
Okay.
a vibration. And that vibration, it attracts similar experiences into your life.
So you're saying it's like, we're kind of like magnets.
Exactly, like a universal magnet.
Okay.
If you're constantly thinking about, not having enough money, you're attracting more of that lack.
More lack.
More
Yeah.
scarcity into your life.
So if you're thinking positive thoughts, you're going to attract more positive things.
Yeah. It's about aligning your energy with what you want to experience.
Okay, I see. And the book actually uses this really interesting analogy. Have you ever heard of the ship and the rope analogy?
I think I have, but refresh my memory.
Yeah. So imagine a giant ship, like a cruise ship or something.
Okay.
And it's out in the ocean, and it needs to be pulled to the dock.
Okay.
But the first thing that goes from the dock to the ship, it's not a big, thick rope. It's a tiny piece of twine.
Like a little string almost.
Yeah, almost like a little string.
Okay.
And that twine, it gets connected to a slightly bigger rope.
Okay.
And then that rope gets connected to an even bigger rope, and so on.
And so on.
Until eventually, you have this massive, strong rope that's able to pull the whole ship into the dock.
Oh, so it's like a progression.
Yeah, it's a progression.
Building.
And that's how our thoughts are.
Okay, yeah.
You have one thought, and then it kind of leads to another thought, and then another and another.
Yeah.
And they start building upon each other, creating this momentum.
Okay.
And that momentum, according to the law of attraction, it can manifest into our experiences.
Okay, so it's like our thoughts are creating this path towards like our reality.
Yeah, kind of like we're laying down the tracks for the train of our lives.
Interesting.
So it's not about just thinking one positive thought and then magically everything's perfect.
Yeah.
It's about consistently, cultivating those thoughts.
Okay, yeah.
But this law of attraction, it's always working.
Right. It's always working.
It's not something you have to like turn on or activate.
It's just there.
It's more like, universal law, like gravity.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's always there in the background, influencing things. But, and this is the big question, if we're like in control of our thoughts, does that mean we're responsible for everything that happens to us?
Whoa, that's a tough one. It feels almost like, I don't know, is that too much pressure? Are we responsible for like everything?
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
And honestly, the book seems to suggest, to some degree, yes.
Really?
But it's not like a blame thing.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing that while, we're bombarded with thoughts and influences from the outside world.
Yeah, for sure.
The news, social media, you name it. Becoming more aware of our own thoughts and feelings gives us the power to, make conscious choices about the energy we're putting out there.
So it's like we have more control than we realize.
Exactly. It's about taking responsibility for our own energy, even when things feel, out of control.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. So where does money fit into all of this? Because I've always heard, money is the root of all evil, that kind of thing.
Well, that's actually one of the first things the book tackles head on.
Oh, really?
That belief that wanting money is wrong or immoral. Especially, if you weren't raised in a wealthy family.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't want too much.
Right. You shouldn't be greedy.
Exactly.
But the authors, they argue that this belief itself can be a major roadblock to financial abundance.
Oh, really?
Because, think about it.
Yeah.
If you believe deep down that money is bad, you're sending out a conflicting message to the universe, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like you're saying, I want more money.
Right.
But then also, but money is bad, so maybe I shouldn't have it.
So it's like self-sabotage almost.
Exactly.
You're putting up a wall.
And that internal conflict, it creates resistance, making it much harder to attract what you actually want.
So how do we, like, break down that wall? How do we get past that belief if it's something we've, like, always believed?
Well, the book talks about this idea of vibrational spending.
What's that vibrational spending?
Yeah, and it's this concept of feeling prosperous and abundant,
Okay.
even if you don't have a lot of money right now.
Okay. So it's about feeling it, not necessarily having it yet.
Right. It's about shifting your internal state to match the feeling of abundance you want to experience. Have you ever had a time where you felt like really abundant?
Let me think.
Maybe not in terms of actual dollars and cents, but just like you felt really good about your life.
Yeah, I think I have. There was a time when I was starting my own business. I didn't have a ton of money coming in yet.
Yeah.
But I felt so excited and passionate about what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I just had this feeling, like this unshakable belief that it was all going to work out.
So even though you didn't have the financial abundance yet, you felt abundant in other ways.
Yeah, like I was abundant in energy and motivation and belief in myself.
Exactly. And that's what vibrational spending is all about.
Okay.
Aligning your inner world with that feeling of abundance. And the book, it actually tells this story, it's kind of funny, about carrying an IOU instead of actual money.
An IOU, like a little note.
Yeah, like a little note in your wallet that says, I owe you $10,000 or something.
Okay.
The idea being, to constantly remind yourself of that abundance you're trying to attract. But, and this is important, the authors actually advise against this.
Really? Why?
Because they say that, constantly reminding yourself of what you don't have,
Yeah.
it can actually be counterproductive. It keeps you focused on that lack rather than the feeling of prosperity.
Okay, so it's kind of like don't dwell on the negative, focus on the positive.
Exactly. It's like if you have a donut and there's a hole in the middle.
Okay, yeah.
You don't focus on the hole.
No, you focus on the donut.
You focus on the delicious, sweet, yummy donut part,
Yeah, the good stuff.
the good stuff. And that's how we should approach abundance. Focus on the good feelings, not on what we're lacking.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about what's in your wallet or your bank account.
Okay.
It's about your whole attitude towards money.
Yeah.
The book argues that the law of attraction doesn't respond to your actual financial status,
So what does it respond to?
your feelings about money.
So someone who, like, doesn't have a lot of money, they could still attract more if they feel good about money.
Exactly. It's about the vibration you're putting out there.
That's pretty powerful.
And you know what can really mess with that vibration?
What's that?
Comparing ourselves to others financially.
Ugh, yeah, I know. It's so easy to do, especially with social media.
It's like a trap.
It is.
You scroll through Instagram and you see people with their fancy cars and their vacations and their, perfect lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to fall into that trap of thinking, why don't I have that?
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. And that kind of thinking, it just adds fuel to the fire of your financial insecurities.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
And you know what else can fan those flames? What? Tell me.
Criticizing the rich.
Oh, criticizing the rich, yeah.
And ironically, Jerry Hicks, one of the authors,
Yeah.
he admits in the book that he used to do this all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he'd judge people with expensive things.
So what changed?
Well, he realized that, and this is what the book suggests,
Yeah.
that kind of judgment, it creates a negative association with wealth in your own mind.
Oh, wow.
It's like you're sending a message to the universe that says, I don't want to be one of those people.
I don't want to be rich.
Yeah. And the universe, well, it listens.
It listens to everything.
It takes your words and your thoughts, even the ones that seem insignificant.
Wow. So even like our little passing thought.
Yeah, and it uses them to shape your reality.
That's a little scary, but also kind of exciting.
It is a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But it's empowering too, right?
Yeah.
It is. Because if we can become more aware of our thoughts, and if we can learn to choose the better feeling thoughts,
Yeah.
we can actually start to influence the direction of our lives.
So what do we do? We've got all this negative stuff going on. Like, how do we shift to the positive?
Well, that's where the book gets really interesting because it starts to lay out these specific techniques and practices that you can use to start attracting more abundance into your life.
Okay. I'm definitely interested in those.
Yeah, me too. And we're going to dive into those in our next segment. So last time we were talking about how our thoughts about money can actually block us from attracting abundance.
Right. Like that whole money is the root of all evil thing.
Yeah, and the book is this really interesting example from Jerry Hicks's own life about Cadillacs.
Cadillacs? Okay, I'm intrigued.
So apparently when he was younger, Jerry had this negative association with Cadillacs. He saw them as a symbol of excess and kind of looked down on people who drove them.
Oh, so it's like a judgment thing? Exactly. And he talks about how this belief actually prevented him from getting a Cadillac later in life, even when he could afford it.
Wow, so even though he wanted one, this belief was holding him back.
Yeah, it's like his subconscious was sabotaging him. He had all these negative thoughts and feelings tied up with Cadillacs.
It's like that thing we were talking about, like attracts like. If you feel bad about something, you're going to attract more of that bad feeling.
Exactly. So how do you think he overcame that block?
Well, if it's about changing your thoughts and feelings, maybe he had to, like, reframe his perspective on Cadillacs.
You're spot on. He realized that instead of seeing a Cadillac as a wasteful indulgence, he could see it as supporting the jobs of all the people involved in making it.
Oh, that's interesting. So he shifted his focus from the car itself to the positive impact it had on others.
Yeah, from Cadillacs are wasteful to I'm creating jobs and supporting the economy.
That's a pretty powerful shift. It's like he found a way to feel good about the purchase.
Exactly. And that's the key, right? Aligning our desires with beliefs that feel good. So if we realize we had these limiting beliefs, like Jerry did with Cadillacs, how do we go about changing the story we're telling ourselves?
Well, the book emphasizes this idea of telling a new story, one that focuses on abundance, joy, and getting what you truly desire.
So instead of saying, I don't have enough money, you start visualizing yourself having financial abundance and feeling all the positive emotions that come with it.
Exactly. And it's not just about thinking it, it's about cultivating a new belief system, a new way of seeing yourself and the world, like building a muscle.
Okay, so how do we build that muscle? The book mentions a few techniques, like pivoting and creating a book of positive aspects. What are some other ways we can practice aligning our thoughts with our desires?
Visualization and affirmations are really powerful tools. Imagine yourself living the life you want. Feel the emotions associated with it as if it's already happening, and then use affirmations to reinforce those positive beliefs.
So it's about really embodying the feeling of having what you want, even before it manifests in the physical world.
Exactly. Connect with those positive feelings. Create a vibrational match to the experience you want.
This reminds me of something I've heard called manifesting. Is it the same thing?
In a way, yes. But the book presents it as a natural consequence of aligning your thoughts and feelings with your desires, not some magical process.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not about manipulating the universe or trying to force things to happen. It's about aligning ourselves with that natural flow of abundance. We're powerful creators, shaping our reality with our thoughts and feelings. But it's not just about money, right? The book also talks about how these principles apply to our health.
Absolutely. It suggests that our thoughts and feelings play a huge role in our physical well-being.
Okay, I can see how our thoughts might impact our mood, but our physical health, isn't that more about genetics and lifestyle choices?
Those definitely play a part, but the book argues that negative emotions like stress and resentment can actually contribute to illness.
I know when I'm stressed, I'm more likely to get a cold.
Exactly. And it even suggests that chronic conditions could be influenced by our thoughts and beliefs.
Okay, that's a big claim. But how would that even work?
It doesn't get into the scientific specifics, but it presents this idea that our bodies are energy fields, constantly responding to the vibrations of our thoughts and emotions.
So if we're constantly thinking about being sick, we're actually making ourselves more susceptible to disease.
That's the idea. And on the flip side, if we focus on feeling healthy and vibrant, we're aligning our energy with that state of well-being.
So it's like attracts like applied to our health.
Exactly. Our thoughts and feelings can influence our physical reality, and that includes our health.
It's not about ignoring legitimate health concerns, but understanding that our thoughts and beliefs might be contributing to the problem or supporting the healing process.
The book shares stories of people who have recovered from serious illnesses by shifting their mindset and focusing on feeling good.
It makes you think about the power of the mind-body connection. I'm not saying we should throw away our medications and rely solely on positive thinking, but it's interesting to consider how our thoughts might be influencing our physical well-being.
It encourages us to become more aware of the stories we're telling ourselves about our bodies and to choose thoughts and feelings that support our health.
Instead of dwelling on every ache and pain, focus on feeling strong and healthy.
And who knows what positive shifts might occur when we align our energy with that state of well-being.
It all comes back to choosing the better feeling thought, doesn't it? Whether it's about money, relationships, or our health. It's about recognizing our power to shape our reality.
Absolutely. Taking responsibility for our own energy and letting the universe respond accordingly.
The book also talks about how we're not responsible for other people's happiness. That seems a bit counterintuitive to what we're often taught about being compassionate and caring for others.
It is a complex concept for sure. Where do we draw the line between helping others and taking on their emotional burdens?
Well, the book suggests that the best way to help others is to focus on our own vibrational alignment.
It's not about being selfish, it's recognizing that we can't control other people's experiences or force them to be happy.
We can only control our own energy and how we choose to show up in the world.
And the book argues that when we're truly aligned with our own well-being, when we're radiating joy and abundance, we become a source of positive energy for others.
Like a ripple effect, our positive energy can uplift those around us.
Exactly. The book uses this analogy of hang off a cliff, clinging to a flimsy vine. Two of your friends are nearby and want to help pull you up. One is strong and steady, the other is clumsy and unsure. Which one would you want to pull you up?
The strong and steady one, obviously.
Right, and the book suggests that we need to be that strong and steady friend for ourselves and for others. We can't offer genuine help if we're feeling depleted by other people's negativity.
So it's about recognizing that our own well-being is a prerequisite for effectively helping others.
It encourages us to approach all our relationships, romantic, familial, professional, from a place of self-empowerment.
So we've covered money, relationships, health. But what about work? How does the law of attraction apply to finding fulfilling work?
It's the same principle. We get caught up in external factors like salary and job titles, but those shouldn't overshadow our true passions.
Right, those things are important, but they shouldn't be the only driving force.
The book encourages us to focus on the feeling we want to experience in our work. Creativity, a sense of contribution, freedom, intellectual stimulation, whatever it is for you.
So instead of chasing a specific job, you're aligning with the energy of the work you want to do.
Exactly. And the book suggests that when we do that, the right opportunities will present themselves.
It's like the universe conspires to bring us what we want, even if we don't know exactly what that looks like yet.
And it shares examples of people who seemingly manifested their dream careers just by focusing on the feeling they wanted to experience in their work.
So for someone stuck in a job that's unfulfilling, what's the first step to finding work that aligns with their desires?
Ask yourself a simple question: what do I want to feel? Not what kind of job do I want, but how do I want to feel while I'm working?
That's a great distinction.
Right. Do you want to feel challenged, creative, connected to a purpose? Once you've identified the feeling, visualize yourself in that ideal work environment.
Imagine yourself in that space, feeling energized by the projects you're working on.
Exactly. The more vivid and detailed the visualization, the more powerful the attraction.
Like giving the universe a blueprint.
It's not about forcing things or controlling every detail. Trust the process and allow opportunities to unfold.
So surrender and trust that the universe has your back.
Yes. When we surrender to the process, incredible synchronicities can occur.
I'm starting to see how powerful this approach can be. It's not about striding or struggling. It's about aligning with our desires and letting that abundance flow into our lives.
The book has so many stories of people who have manifested their dream careers by following this approach. So if you're feeling lost or unfulfilled, revisit that fundamental question: what do I want to feel?
And trust that the universe will guide you to those experiences.
Exactly. This book challenges us to see ourselves as creators, shaping our reality with our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs.
It's empowering to realize that we have more control over our lives than we might think.
It offers so many practical techniques and inspiring examples to help us along the way.
The most valuable takeaway for me is that no matter what challenges we face, we always have the power to choose the better feeling thought.
Our emotions are our guides, telling us whether we're in alignment with our desires.
If we're feeling stressed or negative, it's a sign to reevaluate and shift our focus. And when we feel joy and gratitude, we know we're on the right track.
We have the power to make that choice in every moment.
We can focus on the positive, practice gratitude, visualize our dreams, and open ourselves to the abundance that's always available.
And as we do that, as we consciously shape our reality, we might be amazed by the transformations that occur.
It all starts with that simple yet powerful choice to focus on what feels good.
It really does.
You know, we've talked a lot about aligning our thoughts with what we want, like really focusing on those desires. But the book also brought up this idea that really caught my attention. It said that every subject is actually two subjects.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember that.
What did you make of that?
Well, it's like every desire has a flip side, right? So let's say you're aiming for financial abundance.
Okay.
The flip side of that is the fear of lack or scarcity.
Yeah, so it's like there's a shadow side to every desire.
Exactly. And we often give more attention to that unwanted aspect.
It's true. Whether it's money worries or health anxieties or relationship troubles, it's like we naturally gravitate towards those negative what-ifs.
It's like our brains are wired for negativity bias sometimes. But the book makes a good point, you know? Focusing on that negative side actually blocks us from receiving what we do want.
It's like we're putting up this wall.
A wall between us and the abundance we're trying to attract.
So how do we break down that wall?
Awareness is the first step. Notice when you're spiraling into those negative thoughts.
Okay, so recognize the pattern.
Yeah, and then consciously shift your focus to the positive side of the desire.
So like instead of obsessing over, I don't know, maybe losing my job, I shift my attention to feeling secure and fulfilled in my work.
Exactly. Feel that stability, that sense of purpose.
Focus on the solution, not the problem.
Right. And it doesn't have to be this huge, dramatic shift in your thinking. The book suggests just aiming to feel a little bit better than you do in the moment.
Oh, so it's more about taking those baby steps.
Yeah, small, gradual shifts towards a more positive mindset. It's a process, you know?
It's like slowly tuning a radio dial until you hit that perfect frequency.
That's a great way to put it. It's about consistently refining our thoughts and feelings to align with what truly serves us.
So it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And when we embrace that journey, the book suggests we'll experience more joy, more fulfillment, more abundance than we ever thought possible.
That's pretty amazing to think about.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to that choice, right? Choosing to focus on what feels good.
It really does. That's the foundation.
Well, this deep dive has given us so much to think about. From the law of attraction to vibrational spending, it's been a really fascinating exploration.
It has. I love how this book just encourages us to see ourselves as creators, you know?
Yeah, it's empowering. We have more control over our lives than we might realize.
It's not about blaming ourselves when things go wrong. It's about understanding our power to shape our reality.
And choosing to create a reality that truly aligns with what we desire.
Right, using the tools and techniques that the book offers.
I think the biggest takeaway for me, and hopefully for our listeners, is the importance of choosing that better feeling thought, no matter what's going on in our lives.
Our emotions are like these little guides, always giving us feedback on whether we're in alignment.
So if we're feeling stressed or negative, it's a sign to reevaluate and shift our focus.
Back to that better feeling thought.
And when we're feeling joy and gratitude, we know we're on the right path. It's about trusting our gut, right?
Yeah, that intuition, that inner guidance.
So we can choose to focus on the positive, visualize our dreams, and embrace the abundance that's all around us.
And when we do that, we open ourselves to incredible possibilities.
It all starts with one step, one choice, focusing on what feels good.
That's where the magic begins.
Well said. We encourage you, dear listener, to keep exploring these ideas. Experiment with the techniques. See what happens when you start harnessing the power of the law of attraction in your own life. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Did you get any of that?